smarter than them. They don't even understand him, so they are scared. So it is in their panic that they are trying to do whatever. They changed the naira drastically in an attempt to, scuttle his chances. It still did not work. Now they are going for a Hail Mary pass that still will not work, because thank God this plot has been spoiled. It has been exposed. They are under watch. So this is not going to materialize.
Okay, Dr. Mario, when you say they changed the naira redesign policy was done alongside, a couple of other policies, but it was at the instance of the CBN governor and the president. Are you by any chance, passing the buck to their table?
Yes, definitely. There was no reason to change the naira at the time that they did it, and the president-elect said it at the time. Everybody knew it. It was an attempt to scuttle his chances at getting to power. The whole forecast that they started since August was an attempt to make people disenchanted with the ruling party so that they don't vote for him, and it did not work. So that is the part of what they are continuing right now. It is
but the persons in charge of that are in the same party with the president-elect. President Buhari is an APC member.
Yes.
And he gave his approval to all of those things.
Yes, they lied to the president, and then the president also did not filter, so he went with their lies. That is why they are trying to look for ways. You can think about the naira design policy this way. They said there is excess money in the circulation, but if you convert the naira in circulation in 2014 to dollars, and you convert the naira that was in circulation prior to the design to dollars, it is less. So that means people don't have excess. There's no excess liquidity because they can't do a lot. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, please go ahead.
With you.
Exactly. So these are the policies that they have been using. It is this same cabal that have been benefiting what Yoruba people will call ajeni di baje. People who have been benefiting from the rot in the system. They don't want to they want to have a stranglehold on our economy. They don't want to let go of their source of livelihood, which is our suffering. And they know that our suffering is coming to an end. So that is why they are trying everything. This is their kamikaze move. This is their Hail Mary pass, and it is not going to work. My only concern is with the unassuming youth that they will want to exploit their ignorance. That they should please go and educate themselves about what happened during an interim government. What constitutional power will he have? Who will be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces? So that means the military is not going to be, because that was what Babangida did in '93. Tonekon was the interim headed the interim government, but he was not the commander-in-chief of armed forces, which gave Abacha the leeway to do all his maneuver and kick out all the military governors and everything. Elected governors and all of them. So we don't want that at all. This is a new generation. These people that go on social media and tweet whatever they want, they are going to lose that power, that freedom, should the military come into power. Because the military will not want to. And this is one of the reasons why I take this so seriously, because there has been a rise in autocracy all across the world.
Yes.
Something like
let me ask
democracy.
Yes, let me ask you. While Tinubu was in Chatham House, talking about his plans for the country, he did mention using Nigeria as a point of contact to stabilize democracy across Africa, seeing as even in our immediate West Africa here in
Educate yourself and know that this is not what you want. If you think your candidates won the election, thank God we have the beavers. Thank God all the documents, all the evidences have been preserved. Let them go and prove it in court. This is not the first time that the court has sacked elected officials. One of the candidates, Peter Obi, got back to power twice from the courts. So we should not try and throw away what we have, a democracy that is nascent, that we are still building. It's just a 24-year-old child. We should not try and throw it away just because We are angry. We are
Dr. Maridanti, would you call a 24-year-old a child? I mean, at this point, looking at the length of our democracy, we've never had all of this. We've never had controversies this high. After the return to democracy in 1999, 2003, 2007, 2011, we didn't have all of this. In fact, down to 2019. In fact, the 2015 election had some very dangerous rhetorics. President Muhammadu Buhari and some other persons made some statement that some persons thought were going to, tear the nation apart and set the country on fire. But Nigeria moved ahead and recovered from that. Why are we now in this very, very dangerous territory? I mean, look at the trajectory of the elections. Some of the, ethnic issues
of the government is against it, and nothing should, go awry, because, the truth is nobody has a monopoly of violence, and these people know this. That's why they're trying to start one violence. So maybe there'll be a counter protest, and then there'll be chaos all over the country. So, my only plea will still go back to the youth. Please don't let yourself be used. But I think the DSS, having come out against this, they are doing a good job. And I just hope they can keep their vigilance and keep monitoring the situation and respond in time, and maybe arrest some people if they need, because this is treason. This is a crime against the state.
All right, so we'll take a quick break now, but please stay with us. When we come back, we'll bring in a legal practitioner to look at some of these issues. We'll take that quick break now. We've been talking with Dr. Charles Maridanti Oludeare, the convener of the Social Rehabilitation Group, all the way from the United States of America. We'll be back after this break.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Eva is pounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast. Detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
According to the words of Michael Forbes, one who never asks questions either knows everything or nothing. Watch me as I ask the questions you think no one wants to answer. Even questions it appears no one has got the guts to ask. My name is Femi Adefila, and I've got the gun. Let's ask the pertinent questions and watch as we get answers.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Enes.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Here are 5 amazing fun facts I bet you never knew about Christianity.
Number 1, there are over 2.4 billion Christians worldwide.
Amazing fun fact number 2. The Bible is one of the best-selling books of all time, with more than 100 million copies sold every year.
Most Christians believe in heaven and hell.
The Bible is the most translated book in the world, with more than 3,000 languages.
Amazing fun fact number 5. Most Christians throw science out of the window without realizing that most scientists are Christians. Hello, I am Pastor Steve Akinwumi.
And I am Dr. Adeoye Oyewole.
Join us as we highlight and discuss day-to-day issues pertaining to the day-to-day living of every Christian.
Issues in Christendom shows every Sunday on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Can you imagine the feeling when you get your news as they break with facts and clarity? Our news are reported.
All right, welcome back to the show. Still Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, and we've been having a conversation around the plot uncovered by the DSS to, install an interim government. We're now joined live in the studio by Mr. Moses Obadison, who is a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, too.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, we still have on the line Dr. Charles Maridoti Oludare from the United States, is the convener of the Social Rehabilitation Group. Thank you for staying with us on the show this morning.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll start with Mr. Obadito now. On the 17th of February this month, this year around that, the presidency denied that President Buhari's government was planning to install an interim government. And now, over a month later, the Department of State Services is saying that they have proof, they have uncovered plots to install an interim government. How do you reconcile these two? What do you make of that?
Well, constitutionally, the president does not have such a power to install any interim national government. The other time when it happened, which is about 30 years ago, it was done because the military were in charge. But under our constitution, if there is any way by which the government can extend, it's not the president. It has to be National Assembly. But let me just look at those sections in Nigerian Constitution. Section 135 tell us when such things and the conditions that must prevail before you can install such an interim government. This is Nigerian Constitution. I'm looking at section 135. of that same constitution, that is sub 3 of that 135, it said if the federation is at war, in which the territory of Nigeria is physically involved, and the president considers it is not practicable to hold elections, the National Assembly may by resolution extend the period of 4 years mentioned in subsection 2 of the section from time to time, but no such extension shall exceed a period of 6 months in any one time. So what we're saying that, assuming this election didn't take place, assuming the situation was so serious, maybe we invaded just like they invaded Ukraine, and as a result, it was not safe to conduct election. Not even the president, the National Assembly will now meet. And so because of this one, the election cannot take place. So we now decide to extend the tenure of Mr. President for the next 6 months. So that is the provision that is there. But if you look from beginning to the end, you cannot find any extension or interim beyond what I've read. Then when you're looking at even what the DSS is telling us, that they have since discovered some people are planning, the security work are not done on pages of newspaper, on the media. I'm going to give you an example. What happened in Nigeria. And I remember around between 1962, there was this Western crisis, which snowballed to national problem. And then 37 people were picked up because of security reports. Among the 37 was Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Lateef Jakonde, and Chief Anthony Enahoro. In fact, Enahoro has gone to Ghana to go and hide there. He was picked by the security agent and was brought home here to come and face that there was a felonious offense against them. If you look at this criminal code, sections 37 to 40, 41 define what is a felonious offense. Just permit me to just delve into it because of those who will be listening to us. What is a treasonable offense? Any person who level war against state in order to intimidate, overrun, or the president or the governor of the state is guilty of treason and is liable to punishment of death. Not only that, any person conspiring with person either within or without Nigeria to level war against the state with the intent to cause. Then look at 38, instigating invasion. Any person who instigates any foreigner to invade Nigeria with an armed force is guilty of treason and is liable by punishment for death. But and many other things till you come to 40. What I'm trying to say is that if there is anybody, just as they did to Awolowo, just as they did exactly about that was in April 28, 1998. General Oladipo Diad have just died, and 5 other generals were picked up that they were trying to levy war against General Sani Abacha, and 30 other general officers were also arrested, and they were even asked to be executed. But unfortunately, before the execution was carried out, General Sani Abacha died, and that's why he was given pardon, state pardon. So what we're saying is that if the DSA had this report, they don't need to inform anybody. All they need to do is to gather facts, record them, get everything, pick them in the night. And then the next thing is courts. And then you charge them for this one, for you to say, we've got something. Oh, look, it sounds funny. Look at America, the 9/11 attack. They got information, this is going to happen, this is going to, and they pick it. Nobody. Let's look at when they picked the Al-Qaeda in Pakistan. They have to monitor him. They knew when he was collecting his mail, when it was his movement, and eventually they took off from America. Obama was in the strong room, monitoring the whole thing, and they picked him up, finished him, and went back to US. That's the way state security operate. They are not sensational people. So if it is fact that they got this one, but the fact that maybe some opposition felt grieved and they are now talking, mobilizing people, you can also pick them up because there's some language that you ought not to speak. If you speak, it can be seen at those line, but not for them to tell us we are seen. Why is not for us to be informed? It's for us to just see that something has happened. And then once that concrete evidence is there, then they can be tried for the felonious offense. All right,
Dr. Maridoti, I was also going to ask you earlier, do you align with how the DSS has gone about this? Do you think that raising an alarm was the right way they should have gone, or they should have just gone straight ahead to doing the arrest and all of the picking up?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question, and I really appreciate the Barrister Baitan who is in the studio. I love to listen to lawyers because they are learned and they educate me. He's actually very right. What should have been done is to get incriminating evidence that can be proven in front of a judge and pick them up. But we live in Nigeria, which is the realm that I try to put my own perspective, whereby, we get people, we gather people, we put guns in front of them and we say they're armed robbers and take pictures and all of that. So that is how we have been conducting our security agency activities in Nigeria, which I think is highly unprofessional. So yes, just as the barrister said, if people have been involved in this meeting, they should have been picked up. But to just think in the line of maybe what the DSS are trying to do, maybe they're just trying to raise the alarm to frustrate their efforts. So left to me, if I was making the decision, you pick them up, if they are getting that, if they are involved in such, arrest them, prosecute them, and maybe I'm not a supporter of the death penalty or whatever, but prosecute them and jail them for life. That is how they should go about it. But I guess in Nigeria, where the security agencies are not as powerful, there's a lot of political here and there that will cause gridlocks. I guess that's why they chose to do it that way. But in the same climb, yes, what the barrister said is what should have been done. Arrest them. There should be no opportunity for these people to continue planning or to regather at all.
All right. When you were talking the other time, you talked about some statements that should not be. And then here on The Guardian, it reports that Datim Baba Ahmed, the vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, specifically called on President Buhari and Olukayode Ariwola, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, not to inaugurate Tinubu, tagging it as an illegality. But does that also lend credence to some of these things that you've said?
Well, if you listen to, because I watched him during the interview in one of the national television, those languages are unbecoming of a political elite. What the state agent should have done would have been to invite him and caution him that the fact that you feel grief, you should not be making us and said, we'll make it ungovernable, we'll not allow him to be sworn in. No, who are you? You're just one of the citizens in Nigeria. Yeah, you feel grief, but you are already in tribunal. You can't eat your cake and have it. So what you should do in time like this is to cool down, assemble your facts, get all the necessary documents, get your lawyer, call witnesses, and then go there and prove your case. But to be saying we will not make it, in 1999, there were people who went to court against Obasanjo because he won election. In 2003, there were people who went to court, including Muhammadu Buhari, and said, look, I won that election. The man did it. In 2011, the same thing happened. And I remember some of the statements made by Buhari led to death of so many other people. When he said the lions and the hounds are going to eat themselves and that kind of thing. And we knew about 11 youth corpers in the north died. And I remember President Jonathan has to compensate their family by giving them 5 million. And we're saying that was not even enough. So that the people who provoke, who make such an utterance should have been brought for trial. But just like the man over there said, in advanced country, just like if you look at USA, the last election, Donald Trump was in the streets. I was in his house and was, agitating, moving people to against the state, against the institution, and said, look, don't let that thing happen, ensure this won't happen. And then they say, no, that's not the way. And today he's facing the same trial because those utterances are provocative. They are more of a traceable language. So there are some things, there's a limit. If you say you have freedom of speech, yes, but your freedom must not provoke issue. It should not be, for example, if you're talking of conspiracy, you don't need to be at the point. So if I made an utterance that make you to burn a house, they will pick me up because I'm the one that ask you to go ahead. So these are things that our political elite must learn to keep cool so that they don't make utterances that will allow the old people to take laws into their hands. So if I'm talking that he said this, we're not going to do this one, no. Just allow the state. Even if the president is sworn in and the tribunal find him not worthy to be there, the court will have the final say in Imo State. Where there was already governor, spending almost maybe a year or so before the governor there was sworn in. And we have seen it all over. In Osho here, Aregbesola came in after 3.5 years that Oyinlola was on the seat. So God can always make a change. But when we take laws into our hand, then we develop the country and lead into a state of anarchy. So an anarchical society does not develop. It doesn't encourage civil populace and allow economic development. So that's what we are simply telling people. Yeah, you may feel grief, but you have opportunity to ventilate in the court with facts and figure and your witnesses.
Okay, so Dr. Maridoti, much has been said about the opposition making statements, you know, about the opposition asking people to go and, you know, protest on the street. But some persons within who are close to Asiwaju Tinubu, some persons like Bayo Onanuga, Femi Fani-Kayode, Festus Keyamo, have also made statements that can be categorized as inflammatory and incendiary. Do you think that this is an across-board issue and it's not just, you know, because there was a protest in Abuja in support of the mandate of Asiwaju. Do you think that instigating all of those things could have also contributed to the fire that is being stoked now? I mean, across board.
Well, first of all, I'll say there was like a rally in Abuja as opposed to like a protest where they tried to cause a lot of, you know, anarchy. Yeah, the truth is that some comments have been unseemly, but what I can say is that when there's a mandate to be defended, you know, and some people are trying to, you know, illegitimize your mandate, sometimes you have to, you know, stand firm and say, you know, you are going. But I've never seen, you know, anybody like in maybe Bayo Onanuga, FFK or Festus Keyamo say people should, you know, advocate for anything illegal. Festus Keyamo did write a petition to the DSS. These other people, you know, they made some quite stern remarks, but you cannot call them illegal. And if the security agencies thinks that it's eating up the polity, they can invite them, like the, you know, barrister said in the studio, and, you know, caution them like they did to FFK when they first heard about this interim government, and now they are the ones saying it themselves. But, you know, just like the barrister also said, in terms of in the United States, what the opposition and Dati Baba Ahmed and all are trying to do is to lift a page out of Donald Trump's playbook. What they are trying to do is start their own Nigerian version of the big lie, election denialism. They said they were leading in Lagos by over 1 million votes. They made prayers to the court, but they never cited that, you know, because they are just trying to perpetuate the lie. They know that they lost the election, but I guess for financial gains, just like, you know, elections are not cheap. Just like what Trump has been benefiting from in the United States ever since 2020, he has been raising money, and that's the same thing that, you know, Peter Obi and yes, especially Peter Obi,
okay,
is already
so let me put a pin there. I have a statement here now that was released by Femi Fani-Kayode, because I'm trying to make you speak to the issue on both sides of the divide. I'll just take a quote from the last paragraph of Femi Fani-Kayode's statement. It says, quote, "Let this serve as a timely warning. We cannot be a punching bag for the opposition forever, and soon we will react. Trust me when I tell you that if there is any foul play in this matter or conspiracy to thwart the people's will, we will make this nation ungovernable." End of quote. Do you think that that's also could be a leaf out of Donald Trump's playbook? I mean, he's not telling people go and make the nation ungovernable, but he's just saying, and anybody can pick up on that. Do you think that this is condemnable on both sides of the divide?
Yeah. Yes, that particular statement that you made is definitely definitely condemnable. And there, you know, there's been a situation where FFK had been, you know, picked up. I mean, called in by the DSS to, you know, cool down. You know, people sometimes say you should fight fire with fire, right? But you can't fight fire with fire in reality. You have to fight fire with water, and that's why, you know, everybody should try to follow the lead of the president-elect in terms of, you know, focusing on the task at hand. All this, you know, sometimes I understand the need to be outside and counter the narrative, because if you don't go out and be as stern as you can, you know, it might seem as if you have an illegitimate, you know, mandate, and that's what the opposition are trying to do. But things like we are going to, you know, fight back or whatever. That there should be a way whereby a line should be drawn. And so I don't agree with that part of making it trying to heat up the polity or something that can cause what's called war. But the truth is that just the same way these other guys, the opposition have followers, the president-elect have followers too. And election is personal, sometimes tribal. People want to defend their own mandate. That is why everybody needs to act responsibly, because they say it's the beginning of the war that nobody knows the end. When you start a fire, you cannot control all the time. You can't mostly control where it's going to burn. So nobody should be trying to light a fire in the country right now. We need calm from now to May 29 and let the handing over occur, so that like we said, there's freedom of speech, but they said your right to swing your fist ends when my nose starts. And you can have freedom of speech, but you cannot go into the theater and scream fire, So definitely everybody should try to watch their tongue. But I think that particular interview on Channels TV by Dati Baba Ahmed is highly irresponsible. It is unseemly. It is unbecoming of it is not worthy of potential. Who was a potential vice presidential candidate of the country, telling the chief justice telling the president something that the president the lawyer in the studio said. The president does not have the power to not swear in somebody. So telling the president to do what he does not have the power to do, I mean, it is just so wrong. It's just so wrong. So you're right, some things should not be said, but there is no need to try to put people against people. There's no need to try to put ethnicity or religious bias into this whole situation. Let us just all stay calm. Let the DSS do their job. If they have evidence, concrete evidence, call people in for interrogation. Maybe the reason why they just raised the alarm is trying to avert the danger. Like I said, sometimes the police will sound their siren, and you wonder why they are not going in silently to catch the thieves, right? Maybe they're just trying to make them run away and let things transition smoothly. But if they have any evidence, definitely people should be behind bars. It is not enough for the United States to be saying they are the ones giving visa ban. Visa ban will not protect our democracy if there's a concrete plan to stop it.
All right.
So we need the DSS to actually act.
All right. Mr. Badito, now, all of this, people are saying that it is a plot to scuttle the swearing in of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, constitutionally and legally. Is there anything that can stop his inauguration as we speak between now and May 29?
Yeah, before I answer that question, let me just delve on the issue of the utterances of Fani Kayode and their likes. Where institutions function properly, they don't need to wait because Fani Kayode belongs to a ruling party. They should have picking up and possibly charge him to court for his utterances. The same thing that Baba Ahmed. But in a situation where Fani Kayode will just say anything and everyone will just look the other side and that kind of thing, that's why you realize everybody is just doing what they are doing. So it is not fair on the side of Fani Kayode to say we'll make it ungovernable. So if Dati Ahmed is saying the same thing, both of them have committed the same offense. So the institution should not, if you look at the symbol of judiciary, a female with eyes closed, wherever you are, whoever you are, you will be picked up once you violate the law. So in answering your question, on the issue maybe somebody can disrupt the inauguration. No, it is not possible. The reason is that once the INEC has announced that this is the winner, and we are moving towards the day of the swearing-in. While this one was going on, simultaneously, the Election Petition Tribunal will also be listening to their grievances and be carrying out their businesses. So it doesn't stop the inauguration. There has been a similar thing that happened under the military, especially in 1993, where some people even went before the election and said, before the Justice Akpan in the night and said, make sure June 12 election does not take place. And since that time, the INEC has ignored any such thing that can bring frivolous. And in recent time, there have been people who just go and obtain injunction and say, please restrain. No court of law will try to stop something that is like the swearing in.
Okay, are you saying now that no court can grant an injunction.
No
to stop
court
that?
will grant that injunction, knowing the implication, because the case is already, those feel grief are already somewhere. So it's like buying another thing. So you can't be in two places simultaneously. So anybody say, why do you want injunction? Your case is being listened to, and it's not the first. There have been cases. I started for you 1999. Olufalaye was in court. In 2003, Mohamed Buhari was in court. In 2011, Mohamed Buhari was in court. And so, and swearing was taking place. So if you are going to take, the judge will look to it. And if it does that, the NJC know what to do. So, but I'm trying to tell you that this particular inauguration, it cannot be stopped. In case anybody even tried, the court, because they could not have freedom, they will ask you, why do you want it stopped? What are your grievances? Because the reason of injunction is a temporary relief, so as to get your right, so that if that thing has been done, your right will be saved. So since your right is being taken care of at the tribunal, so why do you want to come and obtain an injunction? That I said, this type of thing, no judge who is aware that the tribunal is already listening to you, and then you come and obtain the same thing, that court, that judge is likely to be penalized. So it's not likely to happen.
Before we get back to Dr. Marindoti for his closing statement, now the statement of the DSS says that the way these people want to do it is to sponsor endless violent mass protest in major cities to warrant a declaration of state of emergency. Another is to obtain frivolous court injunctions. You've spoken about that. But now, if we have violent mass protests in major cities and there's a declaration of a state of emergency, will the inauguration still go on?
Let me also tell you that the fact that some people are in the streets is their rights. Even on the days of swearing, and I remember there was a swearing in Abuja. Some people were even bombed and people died, and the swearing still took place. So the fact that people are protesting, people are making something, it is not for us to know. It is for the security agent to pick them up, to ensure there is peace and stability in the country, and to make sure this day, it's not like this election. You know, I was envisaging fear that would this election take place with what is happening in the east, especially in the north, and eventually they rose to the occasion. And things were stable, helicopter was moving, and things were. So, on the knowing the importance, it is a memorable day. For the first time in Nigerian history, we are having a democratic system that lasted for about 24 years. So, how will the police sit at home and then be waiting some people to be in the street? So, what we are seeing is that in another country or in a civilized and where things work, before the day they will pick the information. They will have gone into the houses, pick them up, because they are likely to disturb the peace. And they've not just picked them up, they charge them to court while the swearing is being going on. So if they now say, hey, we have to say some people are going to protest, what is their name? Where is their location? What instrument do they have? You know, when you're talking of coercive forces, the state has it. They have the police, they have the mobile, they have the army, they have the NSCDC. So with all this paraphernalia, who are those actors within a country governed by a president? Even the president will want to hand over. He has been, agitating that I want to go back to his farm. So how will he allow such a day not to come into fulfillment? So it is now for these people not to just bother with the tension. It is for them. This is their moment. It's for the DSS to have their ears to the ground and pick them up, so that nothing of such happen. So the fact that they are in the street, that they are right to, even on the days of inauguration, they have a right to be there, but they should not disturb. If they disturb, they pick them up, because the law is there. What they call it public disturbance. So many things they can charge them for. So, but that is not to say that they should not protest. Yeah, they have a freedom to protest, but that protest has a limitation, and you cannot stop the inauguration.
So quickly, are there legal grounds for which protests can be stopped outrightly?
Yes, if they envisage, just like what I've just said now, that these protests, because they've been monitoring and they are can snowball into public disorderliness. The Inspector General of Police, it has happened in state. Please look at during the NSAS. The police give order, please, we don't want this thing, and if anybody, they pick them up. So if they say, look, because of this special day, Remember, on the day of inauguration, people will come from various head of states, will be from Africa, beyond Africa, they'll be here. They won't like to see us washing our linen in the public domain or space. So it is better for them to please don't come out on social and say they will not take this one and take that one. And as soon as that comes in a civil way, they just pick you up into the Black Maria. So those are the things that it does happen, and it can happen again.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Moses Obajo. Well, let's get back to the United States now. Dr. Mari Dotty, you've made quite some very, very much encouraging statement asking people not to be used. The soul and spirit and body of Nigeria is going through tough times at the moment. Give us your parting statement. And what is your admonition to political and non-political actors?
Yeah, like you said, tough times is what we're going through right now. But, they say tough times don't last. Tough people do. And like we always say, Nigerians, they carry last. We are very tough people. We've gone through a lot. We are going through, fuel scarcity. We are going through cash crunch. Everything that we have been put through, we have pulled through it. So I want Nigerians, especially the youth, to stay calm, to know that the light is at the end of the tunnel. We just 2 months away from it, and let not yourself be used by any who are trying to play back a play that they worked in 1993.
Okay.
It's different right now. We have a democratically elected government.
All right, thank you. As the convener of social rehabilitation, do have a lovely day.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much too. Analysis. I saw that you were getting a little bit agitated, especially because of the way the DSS has handled the issue.
Normally, they supposed to have been matured because in time past, they don't do their work publicly. They just pick and then they say what happened before they know you are in the court. So for them to now be publicizing, I think it's looking sentimental, looking as if we are not matured.
All right.
Things can be done in a better form. And then they went for training. Most of them were trained in Scotland Yards. In Britain, nobody tell you are going to commit you about. They just keep quiet. They work on you. Look at how they pick Ibori. Look at how they bring Madueke. They will just be patient until they have all the facts, and then good evening, and then you are off you go.
All right. So in case you're trying to foment trouble, please do well to refrain from that. But that's why we end the interview segment. I'll be back then.
I'm Temitope Ajitolawoluwa, and to tomorrow. Bye-bye.